והתניא, מסכת בו וכמה דף י"ד עמוד א', והתניא. Masechet Bava Daf Yudalad Amud Aleph. We are in Vehatanya. This year's L'Refu'as Yael Simcha Reina Bas Esther, who's having the operation today, and for the Refu'ah of Yudis Bas Rivka, Yitzchak Ben Tamar, and Shaul Rafael Ben Azna. Besach Shachar Yisrael. Nishma so v'moyer Menachem ben Akiva, Rus bas Shalom, Tzila bas Ben Tzion, Sar bas Moshe. Okay, we are now talking about domains. Not the internet domain and not the domain of Shabbos. We're talking about different locations regarding what? Regarding the nezek. When your bull gores the other person's bull, then the question is, where were they located? Where did it happen? Yeah, on whose terrain, on whose grounds? So let's start now. It's a little in the middle of the sugya, but it's really chazor from yesterday. So the Brisa says, Albo klolos Rabbi Shimon ben Lozo omer ben nezikin. Rabbi Shimon Lozo told us of 4 different rules regarding nezikin. We're going to see what that means. Rules, 4 different locations or 4 different applications la halacha. Number 1, kol shurshus lanizak v'lo lamazik chayev b'kol. Reshus lanizak v'lo lamazik means what? If this is exclusively a place that exclusively belongs to the nizak, to the damaged party, and not the mazik, then the mazik is chayev on everything. What does everything mean? It means, of course, shen v'regel. Shen v'regel are chayev, obviously, in the domain of the nizak, reshus nizak. And also, bakol means, and according to Rabbi Talfon, as you can see in the chart, by the way, number 1, yeah, look at row number 1, the party that, the damaged party only, then according to Rabbi Talfon, then says Rabbi Talfon in a later Mishnah, we'll talk about it later, you're chayev on keren tama, the whole thing. Rabbi Tarfon says even keren tama pays the full amount. Okay, that's bakol, complete chiyuv whatsoever, everything. That's number 1. The mazik v'lo lenizak. Let's say case number 2. Yeah, the mazik v'lo lenizak poto mikol. That's row number 2 in the chart, and case number 2 in the brisa. Mazik v'lo lenizak. The person is he's sure gored in the place of himself. It's his own home field. Yeah, in other words, the mazik has his own bull, his own dog, bad dog. Where is it? In his house. The person came uninvited. He came uninvited. So now, we're in the middle of the narrow lines, Yudalad Amud Aleph. We're doing Chazorah. Also the chart, the new chart. You have a chart for you or no? I don't know. There's the next one. Yep. So the mazik v'lo nizak poto mikol. If the nezek happened in the house of the mazik can say to the nizak, toicho bilshusi, my boys, what is your bull doing in my possession, in my domain? I never asked you to come. So you're complaining that my animal did something to yours? I would have known that you came, I would have invited you, and I would have muzzled up my dog, my ox. I didn't, because, you know, they feel at home. I didn't expect you to come uninvited, you and your bull, and therefore get out of my sight. I don't have to pay anything. That's number 2. Number 3, lezeh u lezeh. What happens in common grounds? And that is the big story. That was machlokes between Rav Chizda and Rav Lozo. What happens in common grounds? Excuse the pun. Common grounds, common terrain, a place that belongs to both mazik and nizak. They both have the rights to be there equally. They bought it together. They rented it together, right? We spoke before about a hotel room, although a hotel lobby, although that's different. But it's a place where everybody can be. Lezeh v'lezeh. Kigon chotzer or shutfim. A chotzer, a courtyard belonging to both. The abika, what's a bika? Agriculture area, shmita. Abika is what? A place where you have a plain, a lot of fields. all the bulls can walk around, all the fruits are allowed to be there also. Potu bo ala shen v'ala regel. So when it comes to shen v'regel, it's potu. Oh, why do we say that he's potu? Because case number 3 and number 4 are the same. According to this brisa, they're the same. What's number 3? Case number 3 in the row in the chart is actually a din d'oraisa. What does the Torah say about shen v'regel? Shen v'regel and shus harabim. You tell me. In the middle of the street, may a behemoth walked all over someone's fruit or ate the fruit in the middle of the street where animals are supposed to walk. Am I chayiv or not? No, very good. No. Why? It's not. That's the place. So the Rambam says, if I'm not mistaken, it was the Rambam, he says animals are supposed to walk and eat. That's what they do all day long. What else do you want to think? Philosophize about life and death. They walk and they eat. That's what their natural thing. And they're supposed to be in the street. Yeah, the street is a place where people walk around with their cows and animals and camels and dogs and donkeys and cats. And Mimela Shen V'Regel is potu. According to this brisa, now we're saying that the common grounds, both Mazik and Izak, are like a common place, are like a public place, and therefore it's potu from Shen V'Regel. Now, now we continue in the same domain, but we're talking about other damages. Now we're talking about the vicious damages, which are keren, ala-nagicha, goring, vala-nagifa, pushing, vala-neshicha, biting, vala-ravitza, crouching, vala-bita, kicking, beta. In other words, keren, with all its 5 derivatives, ta mishalem chatzinezek, mod mishalem nezek shalem, a regular street, regular place in the street, and according to Chachamim everywhere, Tam pays half and Muad pays full. That's not a chiddush. Now comes the 4th case. Loy lezeh v'loy lezeh, meaning loy lezeh v'loy lezeh does not belong to either of them. That's the havamina. Kigon chotzer she'ena shel shneim, a chotzer that does not belong to either of them. Chayiv bo ala shen v'ala regel is chayiv shen v'regel. Is chayiv shen v'regel on the other chotzer. And ala negicha v'ala neshicha now we say, when it comes to all different bad behaviors of Keren, pushing, crouching, kicking, biting, all those things, you pay half for Tam and Muad Nezek Sholem. There is a very big problem with this 4th domain. Why? The Gemara later on will say, and Rashi already tells us now, that if we're talking about a 3rd domain, in other words, Reuven and Shimon's bulls were having a fight while they were in Levi's courtyard, well, that wouldn't be true. It wouldn't be true to say that you chayv on Shen V'Regel, because Shen V'Regel you only chayv when it's a private domain of the Nizak. But if we're both allowed to be by Levi rented out for both of us the place in his cowshed, that's not exclusive for one person. It would be chayv on Shein. Therefore, we want to say that the 4th case is really the 1st case. It's a place miyucha to the nizak. Remember, the 5th of November. What do you have to remember now? You have to remember that Shein is only chayiv in a place where the nizak has more rights, as the upper hand is more superior to the mazik. That's where Shein is chayiv. In other words, the definition of the domain of the Nizak, where Shein is Chayev, is what? Dafka, when it's a place where the Nizak has more rights to be than the Mazik. Okay? And therefore, there seems to be a bit of a contradiction in this brisa. At the beginning, we said that the Nizak's private domain, according to Rabbi Tarfon, we followed, and we said that there is Nezek Sholem. You pay Nezek Sholem. That's row number 1. Right? Row number 1. Rabbi Tarfon says that all bulls, Tam, they all pay Nezek Sholem. And Chachamim say that Tam pays half in the Rishus of the Nizak. And looks like the Brisa is dancing at both weddings, as we say in Yiddish and Hebrew, It goes in both ways. And that's going to be cleared afterwards. In any event, Ktani Mihas, one thing we see from here for sure, and that is when the last narrow line, Chotzer Shutvin V'Abika, Potu Ba'al Shen V'Ala Regel. If you have a Chotzer Shutvin, you have a Bika, you have a place where both parties can party. Both of them are allowed to have the bulls over there. They're allowed to have the dogs and cats and also the fruit, everything. Because what does Shen V'Regel mean? Stepping over the fruit or utensils, Or same thing with Shen eating it. Therefore, we see that that common domain is like that's what? That's Reshus Harabim. You potter from Shen V'Regel. Kashya Ahadodi. What's Kashya Ahadodi? There's a difficulty. There's a steer between this Bryce and the previous one. What did the previous Bryce say? You remember from yesterday? If you are hosted in the Waldorf Astoria or Plaza or one of the fancy hotels, yeah? What's aloha? If your bull went into the lobby of the Waldorf, he's very welcome over there, I'm sure, start kicking everything. And what he eats other people's fruit or stuff like that, then we said that he's chayiv, even though everybody can bring their bulls and everybody can bring the fruit into the lobby, that's the assumption. We say still that he's chayiv. So kasha adodi, we say that it's called the private domain of the damaged party. How come? We see a stira in the brises, and says the Gemara, no, as we said yesterday, ki tanya yi b'chotem miyuchedes lezeh v'lezeh ben lepeos ben l'shvorim. You know, when we said that it's a public domain and I'm not chayev, that's when we're completely equal, and both parties are allowed to put both the fruit over there and the oxen. They're allowed to bring them in, both this and that. And therefore, that's complete public domain. You have no rights more than me, and therefore, I'm not chayiv on the shein. We can both bring our bulls, both bring our fruit. That's Reshus Harabim. When both contradictory factors are there, the bull that wants to eat and the fruit that doesn't want to be eaten by the bailim, then who has the onus? Who has our responsibility? The Baal Aperos. That's how Reshus Harabim works. So if we can have everything over there, it's like a make-believe Reshus Harabim. Even though it's only you and me in here, but Lamaisa, it's like Reshus Harabim. Everybody can do everything. Well, the Baal Aperos, he has to hide his fruit from the ox. That's a halacha. And therefore, I'm potter if my ox ate your fruit. Now, I get it now. That's a logic. However, Aida of Yosef, the story about the hotel, about the pundak, we're talking about a place where everybody can bring the fruit, but nobody is allowed to bring the ox. Yeah, that is the case number 5. Yeah. Case number 5 in the chart is when you have a chotzom yuchedes for fruit. Both sides are allowed to bring in fruit. Nobody is allowed to bring the oxen. And therefore what? Regarding Shen, that's Chotzer Nizak, meaning because your bull is not supposed to be there and only fruit are supposed to be there, if you brought your bull to a non-bull area, no entry for bulls, it says in big red letters, and you brought in your bull, you have to pay, because regarding that, it's a Chotzer Nizak. Very good. Daika Nami. And now the Tarzan, the one giving the teretz, is actually proving his point from the words of the Brises. The Ktanya Chodumi de Pundak. Over there, the Brisa compares it to Pundak. What's a Pundak? It's a hotel. So really, my jokes about Waldorf Astoria, by the way, it's true what I said. I don't think you bring a dog into the fancy lobby, Mr. Bichayev. I don't know if they allow dogs there. I don't go to fancy hotels so much, and I don't own a dog either. But I think many places don't allow dogs, right? What do you mean? If you're a fancy film star, they allow you to bring in the dogs. But a little cute poodle, it goes nice in the pictures of the media, I can imagine, yeah. In other words, I don't think a bull in the Waldorf would be welcome. So then I'd be chayav if he starts eating people's, the fancy pancakes from the plate. But now, seriously now, here too, Rashi says, what's a pundak? It's a place where people display their schoire, their merchandise. It's a meeting place it's like an exhibition today. Yeah, people put their schora in the floor, because they sleep there also in the rooms. And Mimela, the bulls are off limit. Mimela, if the bull is off limit on the cow and the camel, whatever, it's not supposed to be there. And he brought them in. Please pay. I'm sorry, you're not supposed to be here. And in that respect, it's like Reshus HaYochid. It's like Reshus HaYochid, even though it's not privately owned by the Nizak, but it has the taste of Reshus HaYochid because regarding Shen V'Regel, you're not supposed to be there. Uktani also, Mashenk in the other case, where we said that he's potul, doing the Bika. What's Bika? Plain. Bika is a natural place, it's in the nature, it's a field. A place, a field. Of course the bulls are supposed to be there. Have you ever driven by a field and you saw a cow? It's very nice. You show the kids, hey, look, there's a cow. It's very normal for the cows to stay there. Mela, what? Over there, everyone's supposed to bring the bulls. Everyone's supposed to bring the fruit. It's all equal grounds. It's Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah and Potter. My bull's not supposed to be there. Of course it is. Why did he eat your fruit? Keep away your fruit from my bull. Why? Because the Torah says so. The Torah says Rosh Hashanah, the bull's allowed to exist and walk and talk, walk and eat, and the Baal Peres should store away his fruit. Shmami, no, that is what it's coming to tell me. Very good. Maskif Rabbi Zera. Now Rabbi Zera is asking a question. He's asking a question on that very place of the Waldorf Astoria case, the Pundak case. He's asking still, nevertheless, Rabbi Zera still is bothered by something which also bothered me, to be honest. Rabbi Zera says like this: it's all very nice that this is a place which is off limits for bulls. This is a nice lobby of a hotel or like a pundak of exhibition of schoira, all very nice. And you brought in your bull, nasty pet boy. But Lamaisa, it says bir bisde acher, and this is not sde acher. Because we're both equal, we both are supposed to put in our fruit. I have my beautiful grapes to show, and you have your beautiful pomegranates to show, and that's normal in the civil. And to bring in the bull is no. It's all very nice, but it still doesn't fit the criteria of bir bisde acher. It's not exclusively owned by one person more than the other, right? Yeah, in that whatever arm wrestling, we don't have here one person owning more than the other, right? So maybe it's still not called Reshus HaYochid. The Torah says, he went and his animals ate or walked into the other's field. It's not called the other's field, so why is he chayiv? That's a question. Yeah, of course, it makes sense. It's not nice what he did, but Lamaisa, it's on another person's field because they're both allowed to be in the hotel. They both rented rooms in the hotel and also display area and exhibition room in the hotel. Nobody owns the hotel, but they rent there. No, they don't have to own. Before you came, we said that, and I think I said yesterday, it doesn't have to be full ownership. Could also be renting. Let's say both you and I rent a place, and we're both equal in the place. The place belongs to Yitzchak, and Yitzchak rents this to me and to you. What? For our bulls and for our payers and for whatever you want. Then we're equal. Then it's like Reshus HaRabim. It doesn't have to be owned. In any event, why is that really called Reshus HaYochid? Abai responds to Zera, because this place is not miyuchad, not exclusive for shvarim, not supposed to be, not designated, that's the word. It's not designated for shvarim. That's called the other field. Doesn't necessarily mean the field owned by the other person. It means a field which is like foreign for the bull. Get it? It's a field where the bull's not supposed to be. That's how he defines it. So if the bull is off limit and I'm allowed to have my fruit there, that's called sde acher. That was the response of Abaye. And therefore, if you're in a fancy place where animals are not supposed to be, and although both you and I are equal, we're supposed to sit in the lobby and sip our coffee and talk and listen to the soft music, but no bulls are allowed in that lobby. So Lamaise, it's called an exclusive place. Not you and me. It's exclusive to be the no shvarim. No shvarim allowed. Yeah, no dogs allowed, no shvarim allowed. Now, if you remember, this is all very, very nice. We decided that the brises don't argue with each other. Shalom Yisrael. The question is, remember that this was a machlokes between Rav Chisda and Rabbi Lozo. At the beginning, yesterday, the previous Amud, we said that in the case where both people own the same place together, or parents, they rent it together, or they use it together equally, Rav Chisda said that chayev, you chayev and shen v'regel, and Rabbi Lozo said you're potur. Now, let us say, just like the brises don't really argue. Why don't the brises argue? They talk about different places. He talks about the fancy hotel, the plaza, and he talks about a field where the cows are allowed to be. Just two different realities. If so, wait a second, maybe Amoroi Nami Loi Pligi. Maybe the Amoraim don't argue either. Why are you telling me all the time there's a machlokes Rav Chisda and Rav Lozer? Maybe they never argued. Nachon? We can actually put each one in a different box and say everybody loves each other. Rav Chisda that says Chayev talks about the Waldorf Astoria, bulls are off limit, and Rav Lozer spoke about some regular, very rough field in the Golan where everyone's supposed to be, all the bulls. So maybe Enochinami, no question, no machlokes. Amalei, first of all, yes. Answer number one, Efshe, yes. Could very well be. Could be they're not arguing, and it's fine. Each one made a different statement in a different bismedrash. He spoke about a place where bulls are not allowed. He spoke about a place where they are allowed, and everyone's okay with each other. However, the intim tzelomel prigi, if you insist, you want to tell me that they are arguing, yeah, if you want to tell me that, I'll tell you what they argue about. I'll explain everything. They're arguing about the question of Rabbi Zera versus the peruka. What's peruka? The answer, the reply of Abaye. What on earth is going on here? So, according to the Maskana, they are arguing in one specific case. That's a case of the Waldorf case. Yeah, not the salad, the hotel. They are arguing about a case in which you have both parties are allowed to bring the stuff there, the fruit, the vegetables, in the inn's lobby. They're allowed to display there, and no bulls are allowed. And still they argue. What are they arguing about? The question asked by Rabbi Zera and the reply given by Abaye is exactly what they argue about. What did Rabbi Zera say? Rabbi Zera said, excuse me, this is not a private domain. This is not a private domain. In other words, it's true the bulls are not allowed to be there, but it's not mine more than yours. Ownership-wise, you don't have one party that owns more than the other. We both paid, 3,000 shekels. How much it cost? We both have 3,000 shekels a night, both you and I. We both have the same rights over there. Well, nobody's equal. Nobody's more equal, I'm joking, than the other. Right? So Mimela, that's not called Rishus HaYachid, and I'm not going to pay. What Rabbi Zer was asking is really what Rabbi Lazar really holds. Rabbi Lazar holds the Maskana. This is not called Rishus HaYachid. In order to be Mechayev me on the bull that ate your thing, you have to be more of an owner than me. Otherwise, it doesn't fit the criteria of the Torah Kedosha. I saw you. Yeah, Mashe'en Ken, Rabbanon say like Abaye. Rabbanon say, listen, don't play games here with arm wrestling. At the end of the day, that's not the definition of Sde Acher. Sde Acher means a place where I'm allowed to have my fruit, and you're not allowed to have your bull. It's true they're both equal. Everybody is allowed to have fruit, and nobody is allowed to have the ox over there. It's true, but at the end of the day, yes, fruit, and no ox, and your ox came and ate, your bull came and ate my fruit, you're the loser in this case, and you have to pay. So at the end of the day, and this is what Rashi and Tosfos say, that exactly is the machloikes of, and this is 5 over here. By the way, people who watch us online, I'm going to have this blinator on the website today, and that is this one. The sheker over here is exactly what we just said right now. Yeah, just now. Yeah, Rav Chizda B'Shem Rav Dimi says he pays. That's an Nizik domain. Mashenke and Rabbi Lazar, like the question of Zera, is exempt. Why? It's like Rishus Harabim. You don't have one person owning more than the other, and therefore he's not mechuyev to pay. That is the machlok, is the way we see it now. That is the two dots, Tudat Zehut. Gufa, we're now focusing on the statement, on the Braisa of Arbo Klolos Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar Omer ben Nizokin. Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar mentions 4 different rules regarding Nizikin. Rule number 1, Kol Shurashus Lanizak V'lo Lamazik Chayev B'Kol. Yes, I remember now what I wanted to say. Before we continue, sorry. Now I'm picking my hand. Ellen and everybody else. What you tell me now, what happens if the hotel I went to the lobby, to the reception at the beginning, or I booked online like today, and I bought extra rights, I'm allowed to exhibit my fruit in the lobby in the exhibition area, okay? And you don't. You, Mr. Bull owner, you are allowed to be in the hotel. You're not allowed to exhibit your fruit. You didn't pay the extra. You're allowed to be there, have a very fancy breakfast in the swimming pool, but you can't exhibit your thing. You don't have access. You can't exhibit. You didn't pay the extra, okay? Now, and no bull is allowed in the hotel. Needless to say, not even a big dog, yeah. So now, not even the buck, the Labrador. So now, yeah, what happens in this case if my bull ate your fruit? Would there be any argument if I'm chayiv or not? Again, there are 2 people. Reuven is allowed to exhibit his fruit. Shimon is not. That's how they bought it, rented. Shimon came and his bull came and ate Reuven's fruit in the hotel. What would be the halacha then, according to everyone? Why? But it's not really his. It doesn't belong to him. But of course it's chayiv because
effectively he has ownership.
More than the other one.
Yeah.
Oh. Shane is all about power struggle, who's more of an owner. That's a standard opinion. Very good. In other words, everyone would agree that even though the hotel doesn't belong to us, we didn't buy the Waldorf Astoria, and the mice, and we don't have, and we have a lot of equal rights. I can use many amenities, how do you call it, of the hotel? Amenities, facilities, yeah, okay. So then, but if you can exhibit fruit and I don't, obviously you are more of Rishus Nizak than me. I'm just sharpening our minds, and I know everybody knows it. Very good. Gufa. Case number one. The Rishus belongs to the Nizak only and not the Mazik. Very, very simple. It's his house, his field, his factory, his whatever, his hotel. Chayev bakol. Is chayev bakol. Bakol is chayev. I'm not translating to English on purpose. What does mean chayev bakol? Zog the Gemara is chayev everything. Al hakol loiktani. It doesn't say that it's chayev for everything, which would mean shen, regel, keren, da da da. El chayev bakol is chayev in everything. What does that mean? Bekulei nezek is chayev to pay full payment, even though it's a short time. Boom, like the chart, like I told you before. Money. Who follows? Whose opinion is that? Mani, who is this? Rabbi Talfoni. This follows Rabbi Talfon. What did Rabbi Talfon say? The Omar Meshuna Keren b'chotzer nizak. A Keren, which is Meshune. What's Meshune? Keren is always a strange behavior. Keren means modern in Yiddish. Keren is not the normal behavior of an animal. It starts kicking, goring, not behaving the regular way. Yeah, the Menahelet is not happy with this bull. It's not behaving well. Yeah. What? Mishtagea, as I say, yeah. The Chotzer Nizak and the Keren done in the domain of the Nizak, Nezek Shalem Mishalem. Wow. Rabbi Tarfon says, here we see it black and white, that even a short time, if he damaged in the private domain of the Nizak, there he has to behave extra nice, so to speak, and he has to pay full damage. You may ask why. It's sort of logical, but what's the source? It's a Mishnah. A Mishnah later on, you can see it in the footnote, or you can listen to me, or you can do both. The Mishnah in Chavdala, the Amud Beis, says, a big machlokes between Rabbi Tarfon is mentioned there, Rabbi Tarfon and Rabbanon. Rabbi Tarfon says that it's a kal v'chomer. If in the street, Shen v'regel, in Rosh Hashanah, Chayev or Potter, you have to answer this in millisecond, guys. We're in military course here. Shen Potter, very good. Now, if Shen v'regel that's in the street is Potter, in Rosh Hashanah is Chayev, full, to pay full nezek, then Keren, which is Rosh Hashanah Chayev half, right? Keren in the street is no different than anywhere else. Keren in Rosh Hashanah starts goring in the middle of the street, is chayiv half. So in the house should be full. Kal v'chomer should be full nezek, right? Keren is worse than shen v'regel, so therefore should always be more than a shen v'regel. You should pay in full in Rosh Hashanah. That's what he said. Chachamim answered, they say we don't buy that, because we believe in the concept called dayoi, which we saw in the Basra, and I'm not going to go into again. Dayoi means kal v'chomer only works in order to bring a certain halacha to a certain case, but not to increase the numbers. Yeah, if I say whatever, I don't bring examples for money or things like that, it's not so nice. But Lamaisa, the idea is that all we know from Kal V'chomer is that X is chayav or potter. When it comes to amounts, to increase the amount and say, if the big one pays X, so the little one will pay X plus or more, then we don't say. We don't increase numbers by Kal V'chomer. Please don't ask on that, because it's a very nice big issue which we went into and we will go into. It's not the issue right now. Rabbi Tarfon says basically, at the end of the day, Keren Bershus Hanizak is chayav to pay in full. Okay? So that's Rabbi Tarfon. I accept that. Very nice. To this price. So follows Rabbi Tarfon. I'm a good boy. And I say, yes, Yofi. Ema Seifa here starts trouble. Ema Seifa, excuse me. Look at the last case of the four. Look at the last one. We say the domain that does belong to either. What exactly do you mean when you say it's not owned by any of them? If you want to tell me, if you want to interpret it, if you want to say that this is a no man's land, but it belongs to another person, it doesn't belong to the Mazik nor to the Nizak, it belongs to Mr. Levi, a third person, and he allows kindly their bulls to be there, and they had Basically, they had a fight in foreign grounds. That's the story. Is that so? Does that make sense to you? That I bichai von shen v'regel? Ma pitom. V'ba'ina ubir b'sdei acher v'leika. That's for sure not the case of sdei acher. In order to bichai von shen v'regel, it has to be something exclusively or partially exclusive to the nizak. But the third party, I'm completely equal over there. You know the halacha is, I saw in Shulchan Aruch yesterday, if Reuven and Shimon's shvarim have a fight, have a goring fight in a foreign domain in the land of Yehuda, what's the halacha? It's like Reshus Harabim. Either allows both of them to be there or doesn't allow both of them to be there. Of course, if you rented it to one and not to the other, that's a different story. But if you say a third place, which is neutral ground, Switzerland, it's a neutral place, then we say it's Reshus Harabim. So Shen V'Regel wouldn't be chayiv. So Stam doesn't make sense, the last statement here. Ela Pshita, therefore must be, you have to reinterpret this fourth case and say, Loi lezeh v'lo lezeh, ela dechad. It belongs to one person. It doesn't belong to both equally, but rather it belongs to one person. You know who that is? The Nizak, of course. Because if Shen V'Regel is chayev, boom, 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 the red light starts, of course it is the Nizak. And the Ktani Seifa, look what it says in the Bryce of the Seifa. Tam Mishalem Chatzi Nezek, oy va'avoy, Umud Mishalem Nezek Sholem, Asan Rabbanon, that's like Rabbanon. It's exactly, number 1 and number 4 are saying exactly the same, a domain of the Nizak. At the beginning, we spoke about Rabbi Tarfon, and now we follow Rabbanon. The Amri, I'm continuing to read. At the end, we say that if this is the domain of the Nizak, Reshus Nizak, how much do you pay? You pay the Nizak. You pay half, a regular payment, which we know all our lives. Since Kita Daled, the Tam pays half. Reisha Bitarfon, V'Sefer Rabbanon. Boom, the sky's falling, my friends. In the ratio of the same brisa, we said that in a private domain, you pay full. Even though it's a shol tam, he pays full price. Nachon? That's what we said. And Seifa, exactly the same case, Nizak place, and we say that he pays half. So will the brisa make up its mind? What's going on over here? Do we say, is this brisa a Tarfon follower or a Rabbanon follower? Do you pay full or do you pay half when it comes to Keren, B'chotza, Nizak? Question mark, exclamation mark. Says the Gemara, answers the Gemara, don't sweat over it. No problem. In one word, yes, yes. You don't like it? Live with it. Go jump in the lake. Yes, this brisa follows Rabbi Tarfon at the beginning, and the Sefer's Rabbanon. How come? Shmuel told Rav Yehuda, his Talmid, Shinana. Shinana means you sharp one, Mishunan. You are my sharp Talmid, sharp-minded. Shvoik Masnisin, leave the Mishnah alone. Follow me. Don't listen to the Mishnah, listen to me. He's whispering in his ear. I'll explain to him what that means. Reisha Bitarfon, V'Sefer Rabbanon, no problem, which means don't sweat over the Mishnah or Brisa to try and reconcile the steer in the Mishnah. Sometimes Mishnayos actually bring you a collection of different opinions, and they don't have to be homogenic, they don't have to be consistent, and I'm okay with it, I'm cool about it. I don't think that the Mishnah has to be following one opinion from beginning till the end. The Mishnah basically offered 2 different opinions, and by the way, says Rashi at this point, 4 rules are not exactly 4 rules. There are 2 rules everyone agrees to, and then you have 2 opinions about one case, right? Let's count the 4 rules. Rule number 1 is a place of the mazik. Mazik is potter. No, mazik. The place belongs to mazik potter. What's your shore doing bimi? The case which is common grounds is Reshus Harabim potter. Common grounds, not like the Waldorf. Common grounds of the Stam Bika. Everyone's allowed to be there. Reshus Harabim. The 3rd and 4th are really a machlokes. When it is a place belonging to the Nizak, my Shah went into your place, uninvited, mechutzaf, and was goring your cow, and its baby, tragedy. What happens then? There are 2 rules, meaning 2 opinions. Rabbi Tarfon says, you went into his place? Extra chutzpah, mechutzaf, you pay full, even though it's tam. And Rabbanan say, hold it. Tam is always a tam. Even if he goes into the domain of Yena, of the Nizak, he still pays only half. So we have 2 rules that everyone agrees to, and we have 2 opinions in one case. So we can somehow fit it into the words 4 rules, arba klolos. And that's good, and that's nice. That's one explanation. Okay? Now, Ravina Mishmedu Overma. Now, however, now we have a different answer, not like Shmuel. We have an alternative answer. Ravina, where's Ravina? You see all over the place. Yeah. Ravina, you tell me about the lines. Very good. Ravina Mishmedu Overma. No. Kula Bitafoni. Wow. Really, the entire Brisa follows our Bitarfon. And the fourth case, you see that the chart has another little chart in the bottom, not really a chart, like one, yeah? Rabbi Tarfon's combination case, Combina. Now we're going to explain Rabbi Tarfon in a new light. Kula Rabbi Tarfoni. Really, the entire Brisa, all four cases follow Rabbi Tarfon. So that doesn't make sense. How can you tell me it's Rabbi Tarfon? You're telling me that the Seifa, the fourth case, told us what? That according to Rabbi Tarfon, you're telling me that he only has to pay half. It's not true. Rabbi Tarfon doesn't pay half. If your shore went into the other person's field and gored his cow, he has to pay in full, not half. So I can say it's Rabbi Tarfon. Hold it. Don't shout at me. Umay lo lezeh v'lo lezeh. You know how you should interpret the words lo lezeh v'lo lezeh of the Seifa? I'll tell you what it means. There's like a question mark between the two lezeh. Lo lezeh v'lo lezeh leperois ela dechad. Listen carefully. This is a place, like I told you about the hotel. This person, the Nizak, is the only one that's allowed to bring fruit into the place. They're renting an area. How do they rent it? Only Mr. Nizak is allowed to bring the fruit there, not you. You didn't pay the extra. But both of them are allowed to bring the shvorim. Both of them are allowed to bring in the bulls in there. So what? Now that's a very cool combination. The legabe shen nizak. Regarding shen, like I told you, and Tzvi said that it's poshut, and you're right, it is poshut. When it comes to shen, it's chotzer nizak. Why? Only one person is allowed to keep his fruit over there. So mitzad damaging fruit. Hey! Take your animal off my fruit, you mechutzef. I'm the owner regarding fruit, which is shen v'regel. So therefore, of course, you have to pay me. But legabe keren aveloshus harabim. But when it comes to one bull goring the other, because both of us are allowed to have our bulls over there, our oxen over there, it's loshus harabim. And so loshus harabim in Rabbi Tarfon agrees you only pay half. Because we're in equal footing, equal grounds when it comes to gores, to bulls that walk around crazy and all that. Mimela regarding this is Lashus Arabim. And Mimela, even Rabbi Tarfon agrees you only pay half. Very good. Lemaisa, and I'm continuing, yeah? It's just a combination of Shen and Regel. Shulchan Aruch has a lot of combinations like that. When you go home, you can play a nice game. What happens if only has the fruit, both have fruit, only one show? You can play all kinds of, mixes and matches. But Lamaisa, that's what we're saying over here. But now the Gemara is asking a very good question. The Gemara always asks good questions, yeah? A question that should come to mind. Aleph, hey, the last line. Ihochi, if so, according to what you just told me now, the fourth case, is the fourth case new information or no? Listen to what I'm asking carefully. What I just told you now, the Gemara told you that the last case is a combination of Shen, of Reshus HaYochid, and Regel of equal grounds, a Keren of equal grounds of Reshus HaRabim. Was that a new player, a new card, or is just a combination of old stuff? Combination. We already knew from the previous three cases that Nizak Shen is Chayev. If you're going to the Nizak's place, you Chayev and Shen. And also we know that if everyone else is equal, it's considered Reshus Harabim. So what's the Chiddush? Frag the Gemara, you didn't really tell me anything new. Yeah, it's like about the colors. How many colors are there in the world? You can either say 3 or endless or infinite, right? Only 3 basic colors, right? Only blue, red, and yellow. Yeah. All the others are a combination. So everything else you're just combining. You're combining different things here. Ihachi, arba. Are you telling me that you have 4 rules? Shloisha havu. You don't have 4 rules. You have 3 rules with a combination. But the rules are only 3. You only have 3 pieces on the game here, and they play different combinations, right? It's not a 4th rule. It's just another combo. You're right. Shloisha klolois be'arba mikoimois. You have 3 rules in 4 different places. Let's see how Rashi answers. We didn't mean 4 rules. We meant 4 different cases. 3 of them are new, and the 4th one is another type of place, which is a place where one guy has more reshus over the fruit, the other guy, and they both have the same reshus regarding the shvorim. We didn't mean 4 amazingly new rules. We meant 4 different cases. 3 of them are new, and 1 of them is just another combo. Look at Rashi. Shlosha klos b'lal b'kom. It's the first Rashi. Den kan elagimel dinin. This Rashi is good. All Rashis are good, but this Rashi is summarizing the whole sugya. En kan elagimel dinin. You only have 3 rules over here. Number 1, the Shus Nizak Chayv Bakol, right? By Nizak Chayv everything, and according to Rabbi Tarfon, even Shol Tam Chayv everything. The Shus Mazik Potur Mikol. If it's in the domain of the Mazik says, "What are you doing in my house? Get out of here! You're complaining." Not like the thief in America that claimed, compensation from the house he broke into, right? That's Michigan. Yeah, Potur Mikol. Rule number 3, Bechotza Shutfim Chai B'Chatzinezek Bekeren Upoto Shen Varegel in place of Shutfim where they both own it equally, like the street or like the Bika or like a common place or any place where they're both equal, then it's Oshus Rabim. Inat Chai Shen Varegel Upoto Shen Varegel Chai B'Chatzinezek in Keren. Aval Ba'arbo Mekoymosen. There are 4 places in the world, She'endin and Shove. There's another place where the halacha comes out different because of the combination. There's Chotzer Shutfin Shuchai Balashen. There's Chotzer Shutfin when you chayv on Shen. Kigon Miuchedes Lechad Lepeos Leshnen Shvorin. You have a place of Shutfus. You have a place of common grounds that although it's common, you chayv on Shen. Wow, it's like a riddle from the newspaper, from yourshiur.com. How come you have a Chotzer which is shared by both of them, and yet you chayv on Shen, you chayv if my bull ate your fruit? How is that? That's a case which I told you before, and you said that it's simple. It's simple because you guys are Timid the Chachamim, and you're holding in the Shiur. But the Rabbi still had to say this to us, that in the case where I have the rights to display the fruit and you don't, even though everything else is equal, but that tiny bit of me fruit and you not fruit, that tips the scales that it's my reshus for Shane, and if your shore ate my fruit over there, then we are chayv. Even though both of us are allowed to bring the bulls, the bull is allowed to be there, right? That's a bigger chiddush. Yes, Alan. One could claim, what, my bull's allowed to be there. It's a little bit of a chiddush, yes, if I may be cholik on you. Now it comes to mind, if my bull's allowed to be there, Belabatishli, before learning the sugya, I would say, what? It says mefurish, bulls are welcome with a nice smiley bull. This is a very nice hotel that allows all animals in, very leftist and this. All bulls and crocodiles and dinosaurs are welcome. Everyone can come to the lobby, do whatever they want. And my bull is there, and he ate your fruit. What? I learned in Kita Daled. It's a whole big balagan, the lobby there, everyone's there, people, animals. And you're telling me that I have to pay for eating your fruit? Mapitom. That's not what Mor Markovich told me. The answer is no, because I'm not allowed to have my fruit, and you are allowed to have your fruit. Aha, that one factor tips the scales, makes a difference. It's considered chotzer hanizak for the one who's the owner of the fruit, and therefore if I went into his keilu private domain, because fruit-wise it's private, I'm chayev. I wouldn't say it's such a non-mechudesh thing, right? With the new light that we have now, it's Avamin and Maskona. That's why the Brisa had to tell me that 4th case, even though it's not really a chidush, but it's one of those combinations that you have to make your brain work harder for it. So it's mentioned in the Brisa. Okay? Yes. Too long with no questions. Mishnah. Yad Shtaim. We're now in Yad Shtaim. Yud Beis Amud Beis. Yud Daled Amud Beis. Yad Shtaim. Yud Daled Amud Beis. Says the Heilige Mishnah. This Mishnah is very, very strange. Rashi says basically this entire Mishnah is not explaining. Rashi doesn't give any explanation to this Mishnah because he says everything will be explained in the Gemara. So I'll try to translate into English and see what happens. Shum Kesef. Shum Kesef means these are different rules to do with Nezikin. Shum Kesef means evaluation of money. Shve Kesef means something worth money, not the cash, something that has the same value as money. Bifnei Beis Din. the nizikin have to be brought in front of Beis Din, whatever that means. Valpi edim b'nei chorin b'nei bris. And in nizikin, when you have the edim, you have obviously witnesses that have to witness that the show really gored the cow. Whatever, they have to be b'nei chorin. They have to be free people, not avodim. And b'nei bris. What does that mean? Jewish people. V'anoshim bichlal nezek. In Daf Tezvav Amud Aleph, the next page, we're going to see about women and money. Anoshim bichlal nezek. Yeah, women are also considered are equal to men. Oh, sounds so nice. Yeah, maybe that should be the title. Everyone's going to read it. Men and women are equal. Yeah. What are they equal about? Money. Comes to monetary laws, men and women are exactly the same in halacha, both being mazik or nizak. Vanizak v'mazik betashlumin. And both nizak and mazik have to have their share in tashlumin. Yeah, they both share parts in tashlumin. What that means, Mirz Hashem, in the morrow. Says the Gemara. Let's start translating this interesting list of rules regarding the zikin. It's just a matter of translating and explaining each one by one. Shum kesef, shve kesef, all each one will Mirz Hashem be explained. Shmai shum kesef. I'm sure article English is much fancier than mine, but not fancier than my wife's. Shmai shum kesef. Amar of Yuda. Shum ze lo ye ela bekesef, which means when you evaluate, when you pay the nizikin, it has to be with money. What does that mean? Doesn't mean money and not socks and shoes. It means something like that. That let's say my cow and your show had a real fight. My show and yours, they had a fight, and both of them fought against each other, and they both killed each other. That's not exactly the case of the Gemara. Let's say they had a good fight. Who won? Nobody. Yeah, like, civil war, they both lost, they're both dead. So now I would say, let's not start going into the nitty-gritty. Let's not bother with Beis Din. Each one should take his own dead show home and not sue the other one, because at the end of the day, we both lost. That's a havamina. In other words, don't start assessing the fact that one of them lost 100 or 200 shekels more than the other. Let's just go ballpark, as Americans say, and say, let's just let it go and not go into the nitty-gritty. The answer is no. The answer is no. Whenever, even if both sides lost and both of them have a dead bull in their backyard now, they schlepped it out of the board, yeah. So then what? No. You have to evaluate and see how much he was worth before, how much would Abdul Rahman buy him now, v'chulei. So therefore, you have to assess down to the penny and see how much it's worth, each one, and how much you lost and how much the other one lost versus the other one. I'm sure you have a lot of interesting cases from England, but now we don't have time, right? Yeah, both sides lost. You still have to evaluate. Very meduyak. Halacha is not a ballpark business, not playing ball. It's halacha. And therefore, you have to know exactly how much was lost, and you have to compensate the one who lost more, the bigger loser. The Tzina law, and we learned this in the Brisa, the Tanu Abonon, Por shezika talis v'talis shezika poro. That's a huge headache. This case is a huge headache. The cow damaged a garment. Talis doesn't mean what you wore this morning for Shachris necessarily. Talis means any garment almost. Yeah, like an outer garment. A poro had a fight with a suit, with a garment. The poro damaged the suit, let's say. V'talis shezika poro. According to one explanation, it happened all in the same time. The poro damaged the talis. It stepped all over it. And now my beautiful new Gucci suit is full of stains that can barely be removed, and it made on it whatever, excuse me. And then the talis took revenge. Yeah, eventually afterwards in the street, the paro stepped and tripped over the talis. Yeah, the talis was like all heaped up, yeah. Now the cow fell because of the talis. The talis is revenge. So now both of them are lost now. The talis is ruined. The paro has a broken leg, which is very hard to mend. Ein oimrim teitze poro betalis beporo. We don't say let's moitzi, let's balance it out. Let's be what we say in Hebrew lekazez, if you know the word. Don't balance it out and say, listen, we both lost. Let's not go into small numbers. We don't say that. We have to evaluate it with money. Over here starts a huge, infinite story in the Rishonim. Big stories in the Rishonim. Sadly, I don't know if we have the time now, and honestly, I didn't even go so much into it. Basically, the question here is that this case is impossible to happen. At the very same time, you can't have the cow fighting with the talis and the talis hurting the part at the same time, and they both would be chayiv. Why? The assumption is that the cow or the bull stepped on the talis. If it stepped on the talis like regel, so when is it chayiv? Where is it chayiv? In the street? No. Street regel is not chayiv. So must be where was the talis located? Is in his place. Very good. And the cow went in illegally and stepped all over it. But then, if you say that at that very moment the talis got tangled around the cow and the cow fell, if so, that's bo. And bo in the house of the nizak is not chayiv. If I have a boar in my house, I have something very unsafe in my house, yeah, then I'm not mechuyev. It's not good to have it. If in my kitchen I have, let's say, something unsafe and all my kids know not to get near there, there's a bow. In the middle of construction, there's a bow in my kitchen, and all the kids know don't start getting there. B'chlal, I sent them on Ketana to America, whatever. And somebody comes uninvited to my house. Nobody invited him. Not supposed to come. Some yachna yente wants to snoop into my kitchen, and he fell into the boar. I'm not chayiv. Don't come to my kitchen. Who invited you? You came uninvited. I didn't know you're coming. What do you mean didn't invite you? You came to steal my things, yeah? Mimela what? Potter. If so, boar is only chabushus harabim. So where could that case be? If it's in the house, it's only regel. If it's in the street, there's only bow. You can't have regel and boar in the same place. There's a whole big matamim and the rishonim over there. They go then into shabudim and yistoimim and lots of stories. The kids are, one rishon says something rather pashut, and he says this is basically this is a two-chapter story. It's a short serial story, yeah? At the beginning, the cow went into someone's house and stepped all over the place, the talis, that like long scarf, yeah? And it stepped all over it in the house of Yana, is chayiv. Then it dragged it into the street, the damaged talis. It dragged it into the street, but the owner of the talis saw that it's dragging it and placing it there in the street, and he said nothing. He says, I don't care. And now it's his talis that is in the street now. We don't care the other cow brought it because you saw it and you stayed too complacent. And then afterwards, as the cow kept playing, it tripped because of that, tripped on the shawl, on the garment, and mimela now it's babu shusarabim. That's what happening. You have one case with two, how do you get it? Sequel. It's a sequel. The sequel. Talis versus Bar. There are two movies. One him against him, the sequel, the Talis against the Para. So at the end of the day, they were both damaged in two different places, but one long story. And at the end of the day, we don't say, forget it. Don't forget it. We have to now assess and see who's worth more. My fancy Gucci dress of the wife or the fancy cow. Yeah, which one's worth more? And we have to assess and see who's worth more. I answered that, but Lemaisa, it is also something done by he saw it. That's what's making Nukim to the Baal HaTalis. He saw the car dragging it. And once the car dragged it and placed it there.
Maybe he just said it was hefker.
What? Lo zer to be mafkir. If it was mafkir before. If you place something in the Shus Harabim or it's placed with your knowledge.
When he the Baal, he saw the Gucci dress is finished. He says, I'm going to be mafkir.
If it happened before.
He said that as soon as he said that.
Shane Azach, you're saying a very nice thing. I can see who your grandfather was. Very this very nice. But let's say it didn't happen. Let's say he still starts trying to save the Gucci dress, and then the Gucci dress was placed in the street. It's still owned by him. And he knows it. If he's mafkir the dress afterwards, it's too late. Because if you have a bonus Shus Harabim and then you mafkir it doesn't help. Because when it was placed, it was yours and you knew about it, mister, you're chayiv. And chlami, you're making a nice ukimta, which is very nice, but that's not ukimta here. Good. Now, let's say Tilim, please. Let's say Tilim. I want to go, if you don't mind to stay one more minute, I want to say Tilim for our friends from Gibraltar. I'll say it by the Amud, and maybe just thank you very much. Shkoyach, thank you. Tiskul mitzvah.